Today on University Report, we'll tell you how Uber and Lyft's removal from Minneapolis will affect users on campus.
South Dakota and Minnesota recently ended their tuition reciprocity agreement, what this means for students, and what their reactions are coming up.
Plus, how a legendary Dinkytown restaurant is making a big comeback after being closed.
I've been waiting and hoping and praying that it would open again because it just looks so cute.
Stay tuned for these stories and more on this week's University Report.
Good morning, I'm Sabrina Salguero del Cid.
And I'm Sophia Jackson. Thank you for joining us on this snowy Friday. Uber and Lyft said they'll stop doing business in Minneapolis and maybe other parts of Minnesota on May 1st. That's in response to the Minneapolis City Council's decision to raise minimum pay levels for rideshare drivers in the city. Pooja Singh has been looking into what that would mean for those of us here on campus. She joins us now from the East Bank. Pooja.
Hey Sophia, so this turnaround on Church Street is a popular place for people to come get their Uber and Lyft rides. Unfortunately, it may not be true for much longer as both services are threatening to leave Minneapolis starting May 1st. I went ahead and talked to some campus locals to gauge their situation, to gauge their reactions on the situation.
My mom was telling me how to use a taxi if I needed to.
Uber and Lyft communicated to customers via email that they will cease operations in Minneapolis starting May 1st.
And as students, it's kind of like we don't have cars here, so it's like the only way to really get around.
While Uber intends to cut operations across the entire metro area, including the U's campus, Lyft has specified its suspension solely within Minneapolis. Madeline Upson, a senior at the university, relies on these services weekly.
Part of people's lives if they don't have a car, if they live in a city where they can't necessarily get around by walking or biking or public transportation, so taking these away would be a poor idea.
The City Council is now considering revisiting the ordinance, inspired in part by a state report suggesting alternative wage recommendations.
There's no really big areas other than Minneapolis that uses Uber and Lyft.
Alano Anderson, who's been part of the campus's workforce, relies on Uber and Lyft, not just for convenience, but as a necessity for maintaining employment.
I work in Stillwater, and I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know I can't drive 46 to 55 minutes straight without either falling asleep, feeling drowsy, or losing my sense of where I am.
Alano's story is a stark reminder of the everyday reliance on rideshare services for both work and safety. But many are still hoping for a solution that keeps Minneapolis moving.
Now, council members are working with state legislatures to pass a statewide policy on drivers' minimum wage. This meeting is set for April 11th, and hopefully, Sophia, we'll see some spring weather by then.
Thank you, Pooja.
Last month, the University Board of Regents selected Rebecca Cunningham as the 18th president of the University of Minnesota.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity to move forward.
Cunningham is scheduled to start her new job here on July 1st. Until then, Jeffrey Ettinger will continue to serve as the university's interim president.
Minnesota and South Dakota decided earlier this month to end their tuition reciprocity agreement. For students from South Dakota, that means tuition in Minnesota will likely cost much more. Minnesotans, however, will actually pay less for college in South Dakota. Carly Berglund breaks it down for us.
To attend an out-of-state college at a discounted rate that is often comparable to the in-state tuition cost. Until recently, Minnesota and South Dakota had one of these agreements, which must be renewed annually. This year, South Dakota and Minnesota decided to remove their reciprocity at the end of the current school year, which could take opportunities away from South Dakota high school students.
I never really wanted to stay in-state. The opportunities in South Dakota aren't necessarily as there as they are in a big city like Minneapolis.
More freedom with money because I have in-state prices. I'm not paying double what I'm paying.
But it turns out that Minnesotans going to college in South Dakota weren't actually paying the in-state rate there to start with. Their costs will go down under the new plan. The reciprocity rate Minnesotans have been paying was roughly $312 per credit hour at South Dakota State University, for example. Under the new plan, students will pay $259 per credit hour, equivalent to the in-state cost. That's a 17% decrease in tuition. The change allows Minnesotan students to continue moving farther away from home.
Well, I didn't want to go in-state, but I didn't want to pay out-of-state prices.
The 1,500 current South Dakota students receiving reciprocity rates at the U will continue to pay them for the remainder of their time as undergrads. They'll still benefit from the previous agreement.
So I did want to go out of state. I kind of wanted to get out of my bubble a little bit, and that was one of the big reasons why I was able to come here, is just because the tuition was cheaper.
Although current University of Minnesota students aren't affected by the change, the adjustment of tuition rates might impact the college decisions of future Gophers. Carly Berglund, University Report.
Current University of Minnesota students from South Dakota do not need to reapply for reciprocity after this change. As long as they're still enrolled in college, the rate will carry over. For more information, head to our website z.umn.edu/University Report.
And well, we're 3 days into spring, and the snow we got last night isn't the last of it. Coming up, Carly Berglund has the forecast.
At the math library, journals like these are scheduled to come off the shelves this summer. Coming up, we'll explain why and what's next for the math collections.
Because it was there. Because determination overcame distance.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
Because the unsolvable was invitation enough. Why are we driven to discover? Because we can change the course of history. Because tomorrow's visionaries need focus today. At the University of Minnesota, with each student comes an opportunity to set their sights higher and to show them the way, so our graduates can shape the future and fulfill the dreams they haven't yet dreamt. Because renewable energy can sustain us all. Our students envision the sun powering homes on every block, wind-blown ideas launching entirely new economies, and fertile soils fueling cars and people alike, protecting the harmony between humanity and nature. Because self-expression can move 1,000 souls. Be it a song or a dance, a canvas or a poem, the arts are vital to the U of M experience, as are self-discovery and moments of sheer amazement. Because cancer can be conquered by targeting medicines, customizing treatments, and transplanting stem cells, incurable cancers can become survivable. Terminal can be redefined as treatable, and optimism can spread once again. Because human rights need champions. From classrooms in Minnesota to courtrooms in Uganda, assembling a collective voice for change allows dignity to return and extends human rights across the globe. Because clean water ensures quality of life. It's essential to the health of all nations, so we're studying models and molecules. We are committed to making clean water flow freely, from the headwaters of the Mississippi to the slums of Mumbai. We share the belief that anything is possible, because at the University of Minnesota, discoveries unfold, breakthroughs happen, and history is forever changed.
The Math Library in Vincent Hall is set to close a little more than a year from now. With digital libraries becoming more popular, the university is adapting to the changing times. I looked into what the closure means for the future of the library. In January, the University Libraries Administration announced the closure of the math library. Beginning this summer, some materials will be placed in Walter Library's sub-basement. The final destination of most of the books and journals will be the almost $67 million off-site collections facility currently under construction across from the reuse program warehouse. After interviewing stakeholders and studying user patterns at 4 branch libraries across campus, the university libraries found that the ways people are using libraries have changed.
One of the main goals was to, recognizing this changing use of behavior, is to move the low-use materials to a collections facility and return this critical space on campus, central campus, to users for other uses besides storing books.
But for those that regularly use the library, concerns about its future are paramount.
If a library is going to do something that's going to affect let's say, the educational operations of that department, I think there is some obligation, if only for academic courtesy, to seek the consultation of the faculty and the leadership of the department. That wasn't done, and I thought that was highly improper.
Around Vincent Hall, the math department advertised surveys with signs like this one asking for feedback about the library's closure. In survey results, students were concerned about the loss of quiet study space and access to research sources. One grad student said, "I can already imagine myself digging through the book dungeon in Walter basement for hours just to find books that are usually inches away from each other in our math library."
And I would hope from CSE, from the dean's office, to have some way of retaining this quiet study space because, in my opinion, the students need it.
And they won't have to go far to find inspiration. The basement of neighboring Murphy Hall, which adjoins Vincent, was renovated recently to accommodate more gathering and study space. It once held a more expansive journalism collection. While it is still unclear how the math library will be reimagined, the College of Science and Engineering said it is, quote, getting closer to sharing exciting plans of how the space will be used in the future.
Make sure to check out the math library before it closes. And we got a reminder overnight that snow season isn't over yet. And it looks like this weekend we're in for even more snow. Carly Berglund is here to tell us more about what to expect. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Sabrina. Yes, unfortunately, it is not the spring weather that I was hoping for. Here is a look at the snow as it started last night. The National Weather Service reported amounts ranging from 3 to 5 inches overnight. So right now outside looks quite different. And here's what we're expecting in the next 5 days. So the snow is over for now, but not for long. It looks like much more is headed our way this Sunday. Temperatures ranging in the mid-30s, and then, of course, on Sunday, it's going to snow, and it's going to keep snowing. So this calendar does say spring, but the actual weather, not so much. So if you have things to do that involve leaving your home, you might want to get them done tomorrow because Sunday does not look like a good day to travel. Sabrina.
Good to know. Thanks, Carly. And for Muslims around the world, Ramadan is underway. Coming up, we'll take a look at how students on the U of N campus are observing the holy month.
We're all about water in Minnesota. I've been here approaching 50 years. Originally, the biggest problem we had is the algae bloom from the sewage in the lake. And now we got the zebra mussels, and that's been a major negative.
Zebra mussels are an aquatic invasive species. They impact the food webs within lakes, which impact fish populations, growth, occurrence, and especially in Minnesota, where so much of our recreation is lake-based, that impacts those local businesses, different tourism around the state. Zebra mussels were first found in the Great Lakes back in 1986, and since then they have spread throughout much of Minnesota. People love clear water, but that's not necessarily good. That means that conditions are different for the plants, for the fish, for everything in the lake. This project out on Lake Minnetonka is looking at a copper-based product called EarthTech QZ. We are hoping that this will give us ideally some solutions for controlling zebra mussel populations. This project is largely a partnership between the University of Minnesota, specifically MASERC, the Minnesota Aquatic Invasive Species Research Center, and the U.S. Geological Survey.
It is very much a team effort. Even the marina owner that has graciously allowed us to use their area for staging our equipment and supplies. So without the cooperation of all those different partners, it would be impossible to do a study of this nature.
There are a lot of infrastructure and businesses existing relying on the lake. It's not only the marinas, it's everybody around Lake Minnetonka will suffer subsequently.
Well, the zebra mussels over on the east end of the lake make it clear. It looks like an aquarium over there. So during the daytime, it's kind of tough to fish.
Zebra mussels affect our boats by getting into the motors. They affect the beaches. They get on the rocks. People step on them, cut their feet. So it just makes it less desirable to use the lake. And as a business that's in a lake community, that affects us.
This project is specific to Lake Minnetonka, but we're hoping that this type of treatment will be able to be repeated on different lakes. The University of Minnesota's Aquatic Invasive Species Research Center is one of a kind. It's the only one like it in the country. And the work that we're doing is protecting Minnesota's lakes.
The University of Minnesota is absolutely essential in this matter. And it's a profoundly positive experience for us to be part of it.
Tonight, Muslim students will be breaking their fast in celebration of Ramadan. On campus, a student group is providing meals throughout the month and is a popular resource for those observing the holiday. Take a look.
Last week marked the start of Ramadan, the 9th month of the Muslim year, during which people fast from sunrise to sunset. University of Minnesota students come together at Al Madina Cultural Center, also known as AMCC, for iftar.
And I'm a freshman, so I'm in a dorm, and I'm going to be honest, after fasting for a long day, I really don't want to eat at the dining hall.
Iftar is the evening meal that ends each day-long fast. It begins with a call to prayer. AMCC provides meals Monday through Friday for the whole month of Ramadan, hosting more than 150 people a day with the help of local restaurants and organizations.
And it gives people like a community to break their fast with so they don't feel alone, because you know it's hard doing it by yourself, especially if you're used to having family around you. So yeah, it's really cool that we get to host these every night.
For many, celebrating Ramadan on campus is a memorable experience.
When it came to providing iftars or celebrating Ramadan on campus, that was practically unheard of. So to see it at my own college campus for the first time in my life, it's really exciting. And it also opens my eyes to show like how the world is changing.
I'm gonna take advantage of these resources, because in high school I didn't really have that much resources. So coming here, it's like a safe spot.
Many student groups also collaborate with AMCC during Ramadan, providing more opportunities for students to be involved in the Muslim community.
They're always willing to help, and they're always willing to, provide us with just a little bit of support to help our group on campus. We all hope for a good Ramadan and a safe, prosperous one, and for you too, and for everyone else that stops by.
AMCC also offers a prayer area in Kaufman Memorial Union in room 236. Academic accommodations are also available. Those include extra time to submit assignments and alternative exam times. Ramadan will end on April 9th.
There's a proposal to rename Nicholson Hall on the U's East Bank campus. Four former and current directors of the University of Minnesota Center for Jewish Studies wrote the request. Nicholson Hall is named after Edward E. Nicholson, who served as the university's Dean of Students from 1917 until 1941. The request stems from findings that Nicholson engaged in surveilling students and actively suppressed free speech on campus. According to the report, these actions aligned with anti-labor and anti-civil liberty views that Nicholson held. The request has been sent to the All-University Honors Committee, which is expected to provide its recommendation by April. From there, the university president will make a recommendation to the Board of Regents, most likely in May. A final decision to rename the building is anticipated during the Regents' June meeting.
Still ahead, we'll have the latest on Go for Sports.
Annie's Parlor has been serving burgers and malts to Dinkytown residents for 50 years now. For the past 4 years, they've been closed down, but this past month they reopened for business. I have more on why this restaurant has people excited and hungry. Annie's Parlor.
Because it was there. Because determination overcame distance.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
Because the unsolvable was invitation enough. Why are we driven to discover? Because we can change the course of history. Because tomorrow's visionaries need focus today. At the University of Minnesota, with each student comes an opportunity to set their sights higher and to show them the way, so our graduates can shape the future and fulfill the dreams they haven't yet dreamt. Because renewable energy can sustain us all. Our students envision the sun powering homes on every block, wind-blown ideas launching entirely new economies, and fertile soils fueling cars and people alike, protecting the harmony between humanity and nature. Because self-expression can move 1,000 souls. Be it a song or a dance, a canvas or a poem, the arts are vital to the U of M experience, as are self-discovery and moments of sheer amazement. Because cancer can be conquered by targeting medicines, customizing treatments, and transplanting stem cells, incurable cancers can become survivable. Terminal can be redefined as treatable, and optimism can spread once again. Because human rights need champions. From classrooms in Minnesota to courtrooms in Uganda, assembling a collective voice for change allows dignity to return and extends human rights across the globe. Because clean water ensures quality of life. It's essential to the health of all nations, so we're studying models and molecules. We are committed to making clean water flow freely, from the headwaters of the Mississippi to the slums of Mumbai. We share the belief that anything is possible, because at the University of Minnesota, discoveries unfold, breakthroughs happen, and history is forever changed.
The University of Minnesota's men and women's hockey teams lost their game last weekend. The women's team ended its season with a 3-2 loss to Clarkson in the NCAA women's hockey quarterfinal. The match went into 4 overtimes and was one of the longest games in women's collegiate hockey history. The men's team lost 2-1 in the Big Ten semifinal to Michigan. The Gophers are currently ranked number 6. The NCAA men's hockey tournament selection will be announced this Sunday on ESPN.
The Gopher football team started spring practice on Thursday. The team is holding 2 open practices. The first practice is an invited group and will be on March 23rd at Huntington Bank Stadium. The second practice will be open to the public, but we don't know when or where. But Gopher Athletics will be announcing those details soon.
Annie's Parlor is finally open again, bringing back its cherished community atmosphere. Anna Belden has more on what to expect if you go there.
It's been 4 years since Annie's Parlor closed during the pandemic, but that all changed this February. The restaurant initially opened on January 16th for takeout malts and shakes only from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., but it officially opened for dine-in on February 22nd with the same evening hours. While the restaurant was closed, the owners took the opportunity to renovate some interior details, including an updated kitchen. John Remarsic first opened Annie's 50 years ago in 1974. Remarsic owned multiple historic buildings, including the Kitty Cat Club, which sits right below Annie's and is still closed. Remarsic died in December, but his 2 sons decided to move forward with the restaurant's reopening this spring.
So kind of still a small business vibe. I like it.
University of Minnesota students make up a majority of Dinkytown locals, but most current students have not had the chance to go to Annie's Parlor since starting college.
It shut down before I got to school here, before I was a freshman, so it was a bummer to not have it on campus when I was first going here.
That's all I know about it, is that it's good and people are recommending it. But I also saw someone post on their Snapchat like a picture of a burger at a milkshake, so I know that they have burgers and milkshakes.
As of right now, the menu is more limited than it used to be, serving only burgers, fries, onion rings, chicken tenders, and malts, but you can still choose between 14 different malt flavors.
It's just like it was before. It was just a great environment in there, it always is, and the food's the same, and it's just really fun environment.
I've been like waiting and hoping and praying that it would open again because it just looks so cute. So.
As of Wednesday, Annie's has extended its hours, now opening at noon instead of 4 p.m., giving patrons even more time to indulge in their favorite eats. Anna Belden, University Report.
Since reopening, Annie's prices have increased to reflect the current economy. So if you're planning to bring $20 to get a burger, fries, and shake, that might not be enough. You may want to check the menu ahead of time. Thank you for joining us on University Report this snowy Friday.
Be careful out there this weekend, and we'll see you next time.